It was a stinky pile of dog shit, mate. I tell you, it didn't actually do what it said it was going to do, and it didn't in any way make me like any of the characters. Couldn't care about their plight. I think if one is trying to make these guys like Robin Hood characters, they failed on that. They just were like greedy family people. We're sort of trying to save the farm, and we're trying to, you know, fly this weird Confederacy flag for the Old West, whatever the fuck that is. It was just like, it was just a pile of bullshit, really.
Yeah. So there might. Can you see any like wet marks on my
Nah, I can't
on
see
my?
anything.
So this flipping flask has got. I think it's got a leak in it. But I'm really
Is it?
dehydrated. Oh, there it is. So I'm just gonna have to lean over.
Yeah, that's all right, man. No, not bothered, man.
Do you know it's just that wedding food just really dehydrating? But it's good food as well. You would have liked it, but it's
Oh yeah, well yeah,
fucking.
you had the wedding today, didn't you?
Yeah, I had a wedding today, but the food was really good, but it just left me really, really dehydrated. Like I
Salty.
said, yeah, really sorry, but you would have liked it because it's like there was a lot of protein on the table.
Oh yeah, well seasoned protein. Yeah, I'm up for that. I'm always up
Yeah,
for that. Always up for that. Definitely.
yeah, boy.
Are you doing very good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm just before before first of all, how are you?
Yeah, I'm all right. Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. I'm getting better. I'm not in the best of health, but I'm getting better. I'm good.
That's good. So like you're not in the best of health. Um,
Mm.
is that a factor in your review of the film before
Is
we
that
even
factor in
talk
my
about
view?
it?
No, I think
But
if
before
I
we
was
even talk
in
about
the
it, but
even if I was in the best of health, man, I think well, are we gonna do it there? Yeah, we're gonna
yeah,
review. Yeah,
okay, hold it, okay.
yeah,
But so how you feeling anyway? Feeling better?
yeah. I'm all right. Yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What was
I'm
it?
all right. Everyone's been a bit ill in the house, but yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay. You know what I mean?
Man flu.
I think it was. Yeah, it wasn't COVID, but
Yeah, but
others have got COVID
listen,
in the house. But yeah, it wasn't that. So it must just be man flu. But
yeah,
you
which
know,
is worse.
temperature goes up and down and all that stuff, all the
Yeah.
usual stuff, really. But I haven't had that for a long, long time. So it's probably my time. Really, it's probably due. I do too much, and I do get a bit exhausted, really. So I should rest a bit more. But it is what it is. I'm good.
There's nothing worse than man flu. Nothing.
Yeah,
It's even worse than pregnancy and giving birth, as far as I'm concerned. I know that's controversial.
yeah. You're only going to say that because it's only like us two on the call.
And no one's gonna watch this. By the way, I've just lost you again. You went blank.
Have you lost me? What's that? What's
Yeah,
that?
there you go. And you were a
Okay.
little bit robotic, but I'll let you know next time your mic goes a bit robotic. I'll let you know. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, so that's the kind of like pleasantry. Oh, easy,
Wait a
hand
minute.
there
Wait a
on
minute.
the mic.
Wait a
I
minute.
can see.
One second, though. I might be messing up here. So, are you
No,
using
yeah,
a separate mic?
I'm using my Bluetooth as my mic, but it's fine.
No, all these times that we've been talking, have you using a separate mic? I mean, like in terms of like recording the audio, are you doing that on a separate?
Oh, no, no, it's recording directly into.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, wait a minute, because I haven't been doing that.
No, 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 no. Don't worry about that. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
now
yeah.
that the pleasantries are over, let me before you kick off or go on your rant, can I just read the synopsis out first?
Yeah. Well, are we starting?
We've already started.
Well, how come we ain't done the clap then? To me, this hasn't
Shit.
started till we've done the clap.
Oh shit. Clap. Three,
Three,
two,
two.
one. Hey, that was in
There
sync. That
you
was
go.
in sync. That was in
Was
sync.
that in sync? Because in
I
my
think it
head,
was, you know.
okay, we'll go with that. We'll go with that.
Yeah. Well, I'm using all of this anyway.
It's starting now. Started now.
It started like a few minutes ago. It started 4 minutes ago, so it's fine. Um,
Yeah.
what was I say? Okay, so now I'm going to read. Where's the synopsis gone? Got a new take on this now. After doing a little bit of research, Let me
Don't
just
let
read.
don't let research influence your initial feeling of the film, man. It's about the film and how you experienced the film and how you felt the film was in terms of its quality and its
Okay,
storytelling, and does it captivate you? All those
all right,
things,
that's
that all those
fine.
boxes need to be explored, don't they?
Yeah, okay. So I'll talk about how I felt at the time of watching it, and then I can talk about how it's had an effect on me like days later, because the film can affect you a few days later once you're kind of a little bit pondering and stuff. So
Okay, okay.
let me read the synopsis out. I feel like I know where this is going to go anyway. But anyway, The Long Riders follows the infamous James Younger gang during the twilight years of the American Old West in the 1870s. The film centers on the Outlaw brothers Jesse and Frank James, Cole, Jim, and Bob Younger, Ed and Clell Miller, and Charlie and Bob Ford, as they pull off a series of bank and train robberies across the Midwest. As modern civilization closes in on them with railroads, telegraph lines, and increasingly organized law enforcement, particularly the Pinkerton Detective Agency, the gang struggles to maintain their criminal way of life. The outlaws face mounting pressure from lawmen, bounty hunters, and their own internal tensions.
Yeah, okay.
Over to you.
That was clearly the intention of the synopsis, but I sure as hell didn't pull that off. I think yeah, it was stinky, man. It was a stinky pile of dog shit, mate. I tell you, it didn't actually do what it said it was going to do, and it didn't in any way make me like any of the characters. I couldn't care about their plight. I think if one is trying to make these guys like Robin Hood characters, they failed on that. They just were like greedy, but at the same time, they had little snippets of, yeah, we're family people, we're sort of trying to save the farm, and we're trying to, you know, we're trying to fly this weird Confederacy flag for the Old West, whatever the fuck that is. Yeah, it was just like, it was just a pile of bullshit, really. You know what I mean? It was, yeah, it was stinky, man. It was stinky, proper stinky. It's not the one I had to open windows again. You know what I mean? It's a proper stinky one. And I think, like, okay, so I've seen films in the feature of this when that was made. Obviously, I've seen the assassination of Jesse James. I've seen other sort of documentaries around it. I like things to be a little bit more rooted in the reality of what happened, or at least in terms of what the facts were at the time. And I think they took liberties with this, you know, in terms of the facts and where they all are. I think a lot of the characters are a bit one dimensional. I think the only thing it sort of pulled off, because I only sort of realised this after I watched it, there are a lot of people who actually related in the film. So they sort of pulled that off, having, you know, related brothers act as brothers, which I thought, well, that's, you know, you're not going to get many brothers acting together.
Well,
That's probably about the highlight of it. I
let me cut
think,
you in there. Let me cut you in there. So I should have after synopsis explained a little bit about the making of it. And that is, you're right. So the film was originally conceived back in the mid 70s, I believe, by the Keach
mm,
brothers, Stacey Keach, who plays Frank James, and James Keach, who plays Jesse James, because they played brothers in I think it was a TV movie, I believe, and they enjoyed it so much that they wanted to find something else to do together. So they co-wrote this, but they just couldn't get funding for it. And then there was an agent, I believe, or an executive that pushed the idea that um, if you could find brothers to play brothers, then that's the hook, that's the selling point, and that's what happened. So once they packaged it as brothers playing brothers, that's when they got United Artists on board and the director Walter Hill on board. So that was the hook. So originally, what's the name? Jeff Bridges, sorry, and Bo Bridges were supposed to play the Ford brothers, but because of scheduling, they couldn't do it. And then Christopher Guest and Nicholas Guest ended up playing the Ford brothers. So yeah, from what I can see, it says here, yeah, Keach brothers previously played the Wright brothers in the 1976 TV movie. I
mm,
loved the experience. So that was the hook, and I think that's the hook of the movie in general as well when it first came out, because that's how I remembered it as well. Even though I'd never seen it, on the poster you see all the names of all the brothers, and
Yeah, so okay,
that's
so
enough to you to you to be intrigued, right?
yeah, yeah, for like for what, for 2 minutes? I'm not sure. Yeah, I get it. I mean, they're brothers, all right, but they're brothers. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that's hooking me in really. They're brothers,
Okay.
okay, cool. So now what? Oh, okay. Let's go
Okay,
with the film.
so the reason why they thought have brothers, and one of the reasons the director Walter Hill liked it, is because um more than just a gimmick, it would be better for brothers to play brothers because there's chemistry and they could finish each other's lines. So you automatically believe that these lot are brothers. Did you
Yeah,
believe that? Did you know?
yeah, yeah. Well, I could see that they were brothers. I mean, a lot of them looked alike, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. Like,
What did you think of the chemistry when you first watched it? When you didn't know it was brothers, what did you think of their chemistry?
I didn't think much of it. I thought they were just actors playing a role. Really, I just thought, yeah, it's a difficult one, isn't it? Because I'm trying to watch it without prejudice because I'm not a big fan of westerns, and there's not many westerns that have sort of really got me hooked in, and this certainly didn't do it. So I'm sort of watching it in the first half an hour. So okay, we've got the first opening scene. They're in they do the bank job. Okay, you got Dennis Quaid's like the wild one. Okay, I get it. You know, that's it's all going to go wrong. Going to go belly up, and then you got obviously Jesse James, the main guy. I didn't even know at the first it was because I didn't read any of the synopsis at all before, and I just watched the film, so I didn't even know it was about Jesse James until later on they started talking about. I thought, oh, it's Jesse James. I thought, oh, okay, this is. So then, because I've seen, you know, assassination of Jesse James and other documentaries, I kind of know where they were going, sort of, or where they should have gone, really, if they were telling the story sort of kind of factually. Yeah. And then I thought, oh, okay, so and when the Ford brothers came in, I thought, yeah, okay, so he's gonna get assassinated later on, okay, blah blah blah. But but it didn't kick in for me. It didn't really kick in. I was waiting for it to kick in. It just didn't kick in. So I'm there half an hour, 40 minutes in. So okay, this is the pace of the film. Then this isn't really. It's not really stepping up in any sort of way. I'm not really rooting for Jesse. I mean, there's like one scene where he's there with his lady, and he's I think it's on his farm. But I think they're trying to humanize him a little bit. Uh, yeah, that's about it really. But it kind of just falls short for me. It just doesn't. Yeah, it just doesn't work. I don't think it gelled well together really. I don't know what story they were trying to really tell because if it's going to be like this happens and that happens and that happens, and then overall the overarching story is this is the change, and Jesse is flying the flag for the old West, freedom, all that sort of stuff. It didn't come across because it was just greed, wasn't it? They already had money. I mean, there's that bit where they were out, they'd all spread out to different states. I know this is now loosely based on a true story, so obviously we've got to bring that true story back in. But in terms of the characters, you kind of think, oh, try and make me understand why these guys were motivated to just to come back together to keep doing these jobs. What's the motivation? And in the end, it was just a bit of greed, wasn't it? Really, it wasn't really what was the big motivation, And then he's got his mum there talking about they fought for obviously the old West or whatever that is. I keep saying that the idea of that the Confederacy, isn't it? Really, they fought for that for those guys, which is again what we're talking about here. What were they actually fighting for? Because it didn't really show it, did it?
You don't like the performances, but you like the detective's performance.
Yeah, I thought he was probably the best thing in it. I thought he was a very natural actor, whoever he was. And I thought that character they probably could have used it a bit more um, earlier on. I think, but
Yeah.
again, it's a tricky one because I think the film didn't really know whether they wanted to be authentically true to the story as it was. or whether they want to just make up a story. You know what I mean? They want to make up
I
a
got
story.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a different thing. And I know, it's a Wild West, and we know everybody makes stuff up because it wasn't really how it was. It's probably a lot more slow paced and boring than how the legend uh sort of says it was. But they did use Jesse James, didn't they? You know, Jesse James was a real person, and those he did do a lot of robberies.
yeah.
So yeah, and I get it. You know, you're robbing. You obviously your motivation is just to get money. But I don't know. I think they tried to romanticize it a little bit, but it didn't really work for me. Yeah, I wasn't really rooting for him. I wasn't really rooting for him. So then it was difficult for me to stay engaged with their plight, really. And then you know, when they all disbanded for a bit, I thought just stay disbanded, just go live your lives, you know. That's what Scott's thinking, just go and live your life sort of thing. But I know the history, so that they didn't. So it's like, okay, you came back, but then they didn't really touch on it in terms of why they're coming back for that one last job or that one big job. You knew it was about to go, it was going to go bad. You
So
know, when they,
I've got my take on this, right?
yeah,
So
go on.
first of all, okay, so I agree with you on probably like two-thirds of it. So, like what you're saying about the detective, why didn't they bring him in earlier? I don't think they could have brought him in earlier because you have to establish the relationship between all the brothers and like the scene and the landscape and everything before you bring him in. Like just to establish like what is it that these guys were doing and to what extent they were doing it that this guy had to come in as part of the Pinkerton agency. And it
Yeah,
was interesting.
I get what you're saying, but I mean, if you're watching The Untouchables, you could probably argue it different, couldn't you? Because it depends what
Yeah,
story
but you're
you're
not
telling.
looking at you're not looking at it from the detective's point of view. You're looking at it from the outlaws point of view, right? So like
Well,
you should
that's what they try. That's what they tried to do. Yeah, but my point is because I preferred that character and I thought that character was more interested. I would have preferred to have watched it from his point of view. So that would have been a different type of movie to me. So yeah, that
okay.
I guess that's my point from that point of view. I just think yeah, he had more to offer as a character.
Yeah.
And the insight as well. You know, he's coming from Law and Order. He's coming from. I mean, this is like I think by this point, the United States was the United States. I think. Right.
Yeah, I
I
think it
think
was.
yeah,
So it was like post Civil War. But I
yeah,
feel
post
like
Civil War.
if I don't think I mean he was a detective, but he worked for an agency. So I think they were like a private company that they were getting paid by the big railroad companies
Oh,
to
okay.
investigate. So I don't even think it was that. I don't know whether they had
But
like
he
a
had a lot of power
group.
though. He was bringing in a lot of
Yeah,
people.
yeah, because they had the money for it. So
He had the power
the
of arrest as
railroad,
well. He could walk into people's houses and search the houses and chuck bombs in there.
yeah, yeah. So it's something maybe we need to do a little bit of research about
Mm.
why they were called the Pinkerton Agency or the Pinkertons, and like what it meant as a like what authority did they have or what? I think it. I don't know the American history, but I'm guessing that it was made up. The whole area was made up of different um like agencies, private agencies, um, through companies for protection. So I'd hire you to make sure that my interests are protected, whether it's railroad or land or gold or whatever it is, or the banks and stuff. So obviously they made a massive mark because they were pretty much famous nationwide. Because I mean, they don't really talk about it on this, but I'm pretty sure that there were stories and books written about Jesse James and he was like a national hero amongst people. So obviously that kind of pissed a lot of law enforcement agency off as well because it's just like this guy is robbing us and he's getting hailed as a hero, like a Robin Hood type character, even though he wasn't given to the poor, he was just keeping it, right? So I agree
Yeah, I
with
think they
you in the
touched on it
sense
slightly,
that,
didn't they? They touched on it with that, you know, that guy from the press when he was talking about, you know, I think early on when the press was trying to get a story and stuff, and you know, saying, "No, you guys were writing him up like he's Robin Hood." Um, so I think they kind of they touched a little bit, but then, yeah, again, they could have explored that a bit more because what was that? I think did he become a symbol for anti-establishment or whatever. I don't know. That would have been a bit more interesting to sort of explore, really. Even in the assassination of Jesse James, I think he comes across as just greedy in the end. It's just,
So
you know
here's
what I
my
mean?
take. So here's my take. Right, I'm gonna give you my take in a minute. Just gonna spin it a little bit, right? Because I'm gonna challenge you on your way of thinking in a minute. Um, but before I get to that, I agree with you. I feel like the story was fragmented and there wasn't that much of a narrative in it because it's just going from one kind of vignette to another. And it's just like all of a sudden it skips 6 months, then it skips like another month. And it's just like snapshots of their life in like a what, 5 year period, I guess, or
Yeah,
whatever
something
it
like
was.
that, I reckon.
Um, and it was just like it's like the highlight section because obviously their lives might have been boring. But I feel like that was done deliberately. And looking back on it now, I feel like it was done to get to that end point, to get to the point where they were going to get to. So the two major set pieces was the middle one where they robbed that train, which you have to admit was quite kind of impressive. I thought it was impressive anyway, considering that there's no CGI. It's just like old school filmmaking with stunts and, in camera action, right? So I thought that was pretty impressive. But at the same time, it just then skips from one scene to another scene to another scene. I did think that Dennis Quaid's character, because I didn't know much about his character, I did think that he would be the big baddie. And I'm going to get to that bit in a minute because there's so many comparisons to this film that I'm going to tell you. Um, and and now that I keep thinking about this film, there's so many comparisons to this film. So anyway, the female characters as well, they were kind of thankless characters, but then that could be the history that, the moment, the time that they were living in. The only person that kind of had any kind of arc, if you could call it an arc, is the what's her name? The prostitute.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah,
can't
yeah.
remember.
Tough, yeah, tough lady.
Yeah, her
Yeah,
name, Belle Star.
yeah,
Um, Belle. So she, I mean, out of necessity, and I thought it was quite raw that um David, is it David Carradine, Cole Younger, he wouldn't marry her because he just said outright, he goes, "Why would I marry a whore?" And that's
yeah,
just fucking raw, isn't it? But at the same time, that's the kind of shit that probably went down back then anyway.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
she was
yeah.
she was she's a survivor, and it would have been interesting to see part of her arc. It would have been interesting to see, Jesse James's wife's like character arc and what she was doing while they're waiting. But at the end of the day, it's not their story.
Still recording.
No, so yeah, it it's their story at the end of the day, and that's the problem. We don't. Everybody else is just a supporting character, just to push that narrative
Yeah, very
along
much
that
supporting
it
character.
needs to kind of push along. And they're just snapshots. And for example, when um, Cole Younger goes to the bar to see Belle after all this time, and he finds out that she's married, and has that fight with Sam Star. What do they call him? A half breed or something? So he's half native, half American, right?
Something
Half
like that. Yeah,
native, and yeah, something like that. So they don't even. I mean, I would have wanted to know a little bit more about that, but we don't find out anything about that. Uh,
yeah. It would have lent itself. They probably wouldn't have done it back then, but it would have lent itself to being a little mini series, a little 6-part mini series. You
I
could
think
develop
they
develop
did
all the.
write it as a TV show to begin with. I think that was one of the ideas, but then they decided to make it a 90
Yeah, I
minute
think it would have
movie.
lent itself a bit better that way because then you could have developed the characters a bit more. You could have understood the female characters a bit more, and also just the environment as well that we're living in, and had the symbolism of Jesse James and his gang and why they were so revered and popular and had so much support in that area at that time. Maybe was it the fact that there were a number of states that were still arcing for the Confederacy didn't want to be in the Union, all that stuff. Pockets of people that still felt they'd lost a lot of people in the Civil War, and this new America, what's in it for them, all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean? They could have developed that a bit more. Maybe, I don't know, but I don't know enough about American history around that time to know what the political landscape was straight after the Civil War, and you know, um, it's kind of promoted that everybody was unified and the great new America and all that sort of stuff. But clearly there was a lot of casualties and there was a lot of people on the other side. I don't
Yeah,
know enough
and
about it, but I'm just thinking about the people on the ground in those areas, in those poor towns and all that sort of stuff. They're probably looking at what's in it for us,
yeah,
their old way of
and
living and all that stuff.
yeah, and I feel like that's why they looked at the James Younger gang as
Mhm.
heroes, because they thought, you know what, these guys. I'm going to make a comparison. If you look at uh, America now, the poor, um, the alt-right, the ones who feel like they've been done over, they look at, these other figures as mythical figures because society has done them wrong. Um, and the same, like, I was going to say the MAGA crowd. If you look at the MAGA crowd, it's just, it's an alternative point of view that because the status quo isn't working for them. And you
Yeah,
could say
yeah,
that
yeah,
about the
yeah.
James Younger crowd, where,
I think that's
do you know what I mean?
there's all. I mean, I don't know enough about all the political histories in different places, but I do know enough to know that there's always a kickback to the establishment when um when you get like politicians or whatnot coming in and promise you the world and they never deliver ever, like ever. I don't think any of them ever do. So then they will come in and say, "Oh yeah, well, there'll be another person coming in and saying, oh, those current people probably making you promises and then never deliver. Oh yeah, time for a new way." And then those guys come in and say this and do exactly the same shit. And then there'll be another lot coming in saying, "Oh yeah, new way, new way." You know what I mean? So it's like a revolving door of people saying, "Yeah, time for change, time for change." And then when they get in there, nothing ever changes, and then the people always get disappointed and they end up going more and more extreme to, you know. More like there used to be a time where people actually went more to the left, but actually people now go more to the right, really, because they're thinking that everything's been sort of broken apart and become too liberal for a small few, basically, whatever that means, even though that's not even true. But that's the perception. And obviously back in the day, everything was done by sort of rumor and newspaper, but rumors and stuff, and people walking around and speaking it and telling everybody and going to towns and stuff like that. Nowadays, we've got the internet, which is like you can spark a rumor real quick. So I think
Yeah, but don't forget as well, like once a story got out there, it'd be Chinese whispers as well, because the only thing that you had really was the newspaper.
yeah, yeah, true,
Um, and that's it.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like, and it's all popping off right now, man.
That's cool.
Sorry, man. It's just like if people just like Saturday night,
Yeah,
no
that's
one
cool.
calls me at this time.
Yeah, that's cool. It's popular, man.
No one calls me.
But
It's
yeah,
just like, but
even
yeah.
that,
So,
even that little conversation we just had now, that to me is interesting. It's interesting because there's,
so this,
I'm interested
this is the thing.
in that, but that film, if you're looking at the film, it does not capture any of that. It's very, very on the surface. It's very thin,
But this is the
and
thing. I think like while you're in it, maybe, and this is why I'm like, I'm reevaluating it. So while I was in it, I was thinking, maybe at the time it was entertaining. Maybe at the time it was really good. Like people were entertained by it. I mean, they got on the whole, it actually got decent reviews, um, and people found it really fascinating and stuff. But obviously, we're looking at it from a 21st century point of view, where we've seen lots of other westerns since then who've had have had deep dives into these types of characters, like with the assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford. And I think that's probably why we're looking at it from that lens and we're thinking, yeah, it's a little bit boring. But then I've come out of it and I'm looking back on it and I'm thinking, you know what? It was actually quite interesting the way that they handle certain things. They're not exactly heroes because they don't come across as heroes. I wouldn't say any one of them was a likable character, apart from um, Jim Younger, because he was a bit of a um, charismatic type of character. But the rest of them, I wouldn't even call any one of them. I wouldn't want to hang with any of them. I thought they were quite despicable characters and stuff. But that's the good thing about the film because prior to that, the Jesse James gang and the Younger gang were seen and portrayed as heroes, whereas this one has come along and has portrayed them as not exactly likable characters. And especially Jesse James as well, who's the leader of the gang. He kind of came across as really cold. He
Yeah,
just
yeah.
came across as maybe even autistic or something. I don't know. He was just really fixated on what he wanted to do, no emotion, just complete coldness around him because he just had one task at hand and that's it. He just wanted to do it. So looking back on it now, I'm just thinking it wasn't about them being like you're saying is them being greedy. Um, I'm looking at it thinking they just had this addiction and their addiction was robbing because they didn't know anything else to do. And this is where the comparison comes in. So having done a little bit of research, I can't help now but think that Heat is a lot like the Long Riders. Hear me out. Before you say anything, hear me out.
Heat.
Wait. Hear me out. Don't say anything.
It's
Heat.
not the same director, is it?
No, Michael Mann is the director of Heat and Walter Hill is the director of
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Long Riders. So Long Riders was released in 1980 and Heat was 1995. So, and plus there was a early version of Heat that was made in 1989. But anyway,
Yeah,
I'm
Thief. The
gonna
Thief. Yeah. I watched
no
that the
no
other
not
day.
Thief. No, it's not Thief. There was an actual Heat movie called
Was
LA
there?
Takedown.
Oh,
Yeah,
they
yeah,
take
it was
that.
a
Yeah,
T
yeah. No, I haven't seen that. I've got it on my list to watch. I haven't seen it yet.
it was a 1989 movie that Michael Mann actually made as a precursor to Heat, and it was the same story. But anyway, so here's the comparisons. So Neil McCauley, Jesse James, just fixated on doing the job, the bank robbery. Uh, both films show criminality as a craft, not as chaos. The James Younger gang are experienced, skilled outlaws who've been doing this for years, like Macaulay's crew. In Heat, the crew's loyalties to each other, uh, their loyalty is everything. They won't abandon wounded members, whereas like in Long Riders, they're literally brothers, and the loyalty is blood deep, and that becomes their fatal flaw. Both films explore loyalty and how loyalty becomes a liability, like Heat does.
Yeah.
There's a big heist that goes wrong. He is downtown LA. In Long Riders, it's the Northfield, Minnesota bank raid, which is the centerpiece of the movie at the end, which we'll get back to because I thought that was really impressive. Both show meticulous planning that falls apart in real time. Like in Heat, you see how it goes fucking belly up, and in this one, it goes belly up as well because they get ambushed. They don't realize that the whole town is ready and armed against them.
Mm.
Um, neither film glamorizes killing. People suffer, bleed, and die. Bystanders get caught in the crossfire. Violence is Macaulay's crew. They're thieves in the digital age, and to James Kang, obviously they're thieves in the 19th century. Both are about the death of an old way of life. So they're both about change, right? So the fact that they can't adapt to an ever-changing landscape, and they could only do what they're doing. And the same thing happens with the Heat. They can't adapt to the times, especially with the convict who comes out and he's got a second chance at life, working in the restaurant, and he can't do it. And the same with this lot. And the main comparison is what you see when they're with their partners and families, where there's that period where they've robbed the train, and now this all settled down, and then you just see it falling apart over time, especially um, Jesse James's brother, Frank James, where he really wanted the girl, he married her in the end, and then you just see them distance, and they just said, "Well, this is not going to work." And it's the same with in Heat because they're so married to their craft, they just can't commit to their other halves like the James Younger gang, and that's the major comparison between them. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Can you see the comparisons now? Or
I can see some. I can see what you're doing there.
so like even like Dennis Quaid's character,
Mm.
the fact the opening scene, they get rid of him. The the raid goes wrong, and then they just get rid of him. Same with in Heat. What's his name? You know
Yeah,
the
they got the
guy.
long
Yeah,
hair.
the
They
one
got,
with long hair. Well,
yeah,
but the so because of that, I actually thought that the Dennis Quaid character was gonna come back to like kill him off, but he didn't, and that's what I really liked. Where they tried to buy him, and he just said, "No, why should I do that? Jesse James will probably pay me more. I'm just gonna sit out this next 6 months." Even though he had even more of an incentive to do it, since the younger brother takes his fiance, and he could have done it, and it's all leading that way, but he chooses not to.
yeah,
And then there's
yeah.
other like
I
the
thought
raid.
that was pretty cold of her. To be fair, really, yeah, yeah, she just ditched him and she just like that. Yeah,
Well, no, but she always wanted him in the beginning, the other guy.
but no, the only flaw, the slight flaw was that in the heat, the driver, it's very clear his motivation is to get paid. You know what I mean? It's very clear that it's. I don't think it was the addiction to the chase. I think yes, it is. You can say that for De Niro's character. These guys have already got money, and they're addicted to the chase. And then even at the end, where he says to Matey Boy, I forget the names of the characters, but Matey Boy, he says to him, "Look, you don't have to come. You don't have to do this. Like you're doing well. You got houses. You got property. You got money. You don't have to do this." But he says, "No, I'm all in." He enjoys it. He enjoys doing it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And,
And
so
this,
so I understand it with those guys, but with the driver, that was a split-second decision. Do you want to make some money or not? Do you
yeah,
remember,
okay,
remember, the,
okay.
remember the drill? You know what I mean? I think for him the motivation is money, which you can then link to these guys because
But you
he
say
was
you say
desperate.
money, but you say he was desperate and all that, but you see that build up when when he ditches his job, and it's a man who can't adapt to the lifestyle that's just been forced on him, right? So I get it. You're saying like this is the driver, but I think it's half and half. It's like he just needed that incentive, and the incentive is the money, but he just wanted to get back to that old lifestyle. And I feel like that is what the James Younger gang are like as well. They can't adapt they've got all the money that they need, but they can't adapt to the new lifestyle
Yeah,
that they
I
have.
get you saying. I guess we can argue it for data. I didn't
And
see
plus,
that
and
because
plus
I
the
think
fact that
if it
they're
was like
seen
if
as
his life
heroes as
was if
well.
his life was comfortable and he didn't have some dickhead boss literally trying to buoy him off, would say get back and start flipping burgers or whatnot, and his life was comfortable, then I would get it more to say that yeah he wants that old life back, similar to that like to that other character who, he got shot in the end. No spoilers, but you know what I mean. The other character, he was like yeah. You got it all. You got houses. You got money. You don't need to. You don't really need this school. But he's doing it because he wants to. Whereas I think with him, it's just like, yeah, I've been handed this life. Yeah, it's a second chance. Or what is it? You know what I mean? You're gonna be telling me I've got to take orders from this guy when I was a high roller before, and now I've got to do this, now I've got to do that, and this is killing me, and I can't really do it. And then this guy just walks in, who I haven't seen for ages, and says, "Do you want this job? It's on today.
Okay, all
Do or
right,
die." And he's
okay.
like, "Yeah, I'm taking it."
Apart
You know
from
what I
that
mean?
character, then I'll probably forget about that. Okay, I get you. All right, I'll give you that. Overall, Heat and Long Riders is about professional criminals doing one last job, and it's about loyalty and their code of conduct, their moral codes that they have,
Yeah, yeah,
and
I
the
agree with that.
loyalty
I agree with
to
that.
each
Yeah,
other.
I agree with
And
that.
it's just the craftsmanship of robbing a bank. It's more to do with that. It's the thrill of the craft of it rather than actually making money and walking away from it. It's an addiction.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. It is. I agree with you. It's just the film shit. You know what I mean? I agree with all of that. Well, what you're saying makes sense, but the film shit. It's just, you know,
All right,
you can have
all
that,
right,
you can have it
okay,
all day long with the film shit. The film shit. You know what I mean?
but you have to admit that the two set pieces were brilliant.
I won't say
No,
brilliant, man.
okay, okay, they were good,
Yeah, no,
impressive.
they were well shot. They were well shot.
Because I thought that final shoot at the end, the chaos, not knowing who's shooting who, the fog of war and everything, I thought that was really good. And I thought the horses going through the glass in slow mo, to me, that I'm gonna say it, and you're gonna tell me to fuck off, but I'm gonna say it. It was like a piece of art
Oh,
in slow
please.
mo.
Piece of just because they put the slow mo filter on it, man, all of a sudden it becomes a piece of
But
art. And
I just
I
thought
felt
it.
a lot of people were killing that slow mo filter. Van Damme was overusing it in a lot of his movies.
Yeah, but I could, but I just thought
Well, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Well, I get it. Like
it was
you can only
impressive,
use
man.
what you got at the time. But I guess for me, the film isn't about set pieces. It's about all the stuff in between, you know, and all the
Yeah.
stuff that comes to. So yeah, the set pieces worked well. They were well executed. I give that credit. You know the final scene, even though it was predictable, we know it's all going to fall apart. It has to. We know the story of Jesse James. We know that in the end you can't keep robbing, think you're going to get away with it, and all that stuff. You know, the moral sort of side of things. So it's all going to fall apart. That one last job, it's they're breaking MO as well. They're breaking routine, going to a state where they wouldn't normally rob from. All the other things you could tell, yeah, it's going to go belly up, and it did go belly up, and they went belly up really really spectacularly as well, and they filmed that really well. And then it's right at the end, the gang has to then split up. Everyone's bloodied and bruised and everything else. You know what I mean? So yeah, they shot that well. I definitely give that to you. I think the train scene, because I know the train scene is actually a big part of the actual story, isn't it? That train robbery was a big part of the actual true story as well. So I think they gave that a bit of time. Um,
I tell you what, they didn't give time to, and I was a bit peed off about that, is how they rushed the whole ending with the killing
yeah,
of Jesse James.
yeah,
Because when you watch um, the assassination of Jesse James, the Brad Pitt movie, you just think, okay, that was the focus about how, and I don't know whether it's true or not, that version of it, but it was about the death of celebrity, about this kid who idolizes Jesse James, but finds out that Jesse James is a bit of a prick
yeah,
who's just
yeah.
falling apart and all that. But he still wants to make his mark, and he wants to be in that same kind of he wants to be known and in the same sentence as Jesse James. That's why he decides to kill him, because he feels like he's going to get that celebrity status, and it doesn't happen for him. And that's what they focus on. Whereas this one is just they show him at these two brothers who can't get a job with them, who get ridiculed, then they walk away, then you just see them offhand, but they say, no, we've actually got a job with them. And then the detective says, okay, you know what? I'll give you money if you take him out. And that's it. And then they take him out.
And he just says it superficially. Oh, I can get famous killing Jesse James. That's it. And then he pulls out the gun. He
Yeah,
just says
it's
that one
just,
line, then he in that sort of roundabout way, and then Jesse turns and then all surprised, and then that's it, sort of thing. So
I feel
yeah,
like at that point, Jesse knows that he's come to the end of his tether where he's just tired of everything. And it's almost like he just needs someone to take him out. Because
yeah, maybe, yeah,
I did like the way it was portrayed to a certain extent, because he just looked tired. He looked like he had this burden of being Jesse James and the burden of being this leader, but at the same time having this addiction. It kind of felt like he was some kind of addict that just needed to be neutralized, and he wanted it to happen, and it so he doesn't really put up a fight. Anyone else would have been on their toes, knowing that these guys I don't really know them. Let me just, you know, just keep an eye on them. But it's almost like he turned his back on them, and that's what the way they portrayed it is he turned his back on them because it's like he wanted that out. And even the Brad Pitt version as well, it kind of felt the same. That Jesse James turned around because he was just tired of everything and he just wanted to just go, and they gave him that out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, maybe. I think they hint it a little bit, don't they? When he says, "Oh, he knows, isn't it?" You know, when they're sort of chatting to each other,
Yeah,
the brothers, and
and it's almost like he did know because why? Because this is probably one of the most intelligent people in that area. He's obviously the leader of the gang for a reason. He knows everything meticulously. He could foresee everything that's about to happen, but he couldn't foresee this
yeah,
unless he wanted it to happen.
yeah, maybe, or maybe we were just giving him too much respect. You know, thinking that he's more intelligent than he was. Maybe he just got blindsided. Maybe he's got
Maybe
blindsided. He's got these fool guys. They're not that intimidating. They're not that. They're just they're not they're kind of nothing people, aren't they? And they were treated that way early on, weren't they? You know what I mean? So they were probably ones that you least expect to put a bullet in you. And because
that's
they,
true.
they sort of gassed him up as well, he probably fed his ego, and he has got an ego. You know,
Yeah,
Jesse has got an ego, hasn't he? So he probably thought, yeah, my ego's being fed by these guys, and I'm not that intimidated or threatened by them. Because there was a little split second. They do hint as if he knows, and he's turning around and looking at a picture like it's some, flying straight in the picture. And then when he turns, he has that surprised look on his face, and it's like cut. You know, he's been killed. That's it. And yeah, I couldn't get emotionally invested into the movie. Um, yeah, that's what it was really. But I get what you're
so
saying, man. I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but a bag of shit is a bag of shit.
okay, so that bag of shit was produced for $10 million. How much do you think it would have made at the time?
I probably made this money. Had a lot of those. You said they got the hook in that.
Give me a number.
Not 19.
No, 15.8 million domestic. So
That's
it would
less than a four. So
it
what?
would
It
it
made for 10. So they only made 5 million
yeah,
on
but
top.
you got to remember that year was Empire Strikes Back, and there was quite a few big movies at that time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I would have
and
thought for
plus
a film to be successful, you want to be making twice as what you got in it, what you put in.
yeah, and plus the fact that prior to that, the big western that had come out and bombed was Heaven's Gate, and that killed off
Never
the
heard of it.
studio and everything. You,
Yeah.
what?
Heaven's Gate, never heard of it. Who's in that?
Chris
Heaven's
Christopherson.
Gate.
Yeah, Heaven's
Who?
Gate. Chris
Who?
Christo- Chris Christopherson, Jeff Bridges, Mickey Rourke. Who else is in there? Can't remember off the top of my head,
They were
but it's
saying
directed by.
I don't know my westerns, man. I don't know my westerns. I
It's
told you, man.
but
I'm scarred
do
by
you know who
westerns
Michael Cimino
growing
is?
up.
Do you know who Michael Cimino is?
No,
So Michael Cimino was the writer director of Deer Hunter, and he won all the awards for Deer Hunter.
he didn't
Um,
direct Deer
best,
Hunter.
yeah, he did.
Was that?
Michael Cimino.
No, he didn't. That was the other guy, wasn't it? I'm sure I know this. That was the other guy who directed Deer Hunter. It wasn't Michael Cimino. I don't recognize that
It
name. It was
was Michael. It's Michael Cimino.
who am I thinking of then? Am I thinking of Sidney Lumet?
No, it's not Sidney Lumet.
Who's that classic director? I thought he did Deer Hunter.
Michael Cimino did Deer Hunter.
What directed it?
Yeah, directed it and wrote it. So he got at that point he was at the height of everything,
Well, I
of
feel
all
like
his power.
I've just gone through some sort of Mandela effect thing going on here because I swear to God
I know.
it was someone else.
We swear wrong. It's Michael Cimino. So
Never heard
basically,
of
the
Cimino.
studio was offered. Studio gave him whatever he wanted, and he wanted to do Heaven's Gate. And Heaven's Gate was a western. I haven't seen it in a very long time, about 20
Yeah,
odd years. But his original cut was 6 hours of the movie. He even spent so much money. He got a tree transported from I think it was from London, to America just because he liked the look of that tree. That's how much of an eccentric character he was, and he blew all the money. It flopped. It killed the whole studio, so no one really wanted to make a western. And then because of Long Rider's hook with the whole brothers aspect, that's when they funded it and financed it, and it did all
Yeah.
right. He made back his money in the end.
Was
Eventually,
Heaven's
made back
Gate
his
good?
money. It depends which cut you watch. So there's a 2 hour cut, which apparently isn't that good. There's a 3 hour cut that's supposed to be decent. It's on Prime at the moment, actually. I don't know which version is on Prime, but I did chat to a mate about it, Mose, and we were actually talking about a couple of weeks ago about how we were going to watch it and then compare and contrast because from what we can remember, we actually liked the movie back in the day when we were
Well,
studying
I've
it
never
for film
seen it,
study.
never heard of it. So yeah, I'm learning,
You're gonna
learning
hate
some new,
it. You will
learning,
fucking hate it.
yeah, learning some new things tonight, man. Yeah, I
Yeah.
swear,
It,
that's blowing my mind. I thought that was someone else from Deer Hunter.
no, Michael Cimino.
Michael Cimino, never heard of him.
Yeah, well, you won't because after Heaven's Gate, he died to death. No one wanted to work with him again, and then he did a couple of movies in the 80s and 90s. A few. There's a Christopher Lambert movie called The Sicilian. He did, I think it was called The Year of the Dragon or Year of Living Dangerously with Mickey Rourke. Then he did Desperate Hours and a couple others. He's passed away now. But he,
Yeah,
after Heaven's Gate, he was never the same again. He couldn't really get films off the ground. But anyway, then Long Riders came along, and they got the financing based on that hook about the brothers, which I thought
mm.
was it's a good hook, but obviously it didn't work for you. And
No, it
you
didn't
know
work for
what?
me. Didn't work for me.
Even though I'm playing devil's advocate with you, I actually agree with a lot of what you're saying because at the time when I was watching it,
Mm.
while I was in it, I was thinking, come on, and I was actually thinking, oh man, Chaz is gonna fucking kill me. It's just like, fuck, man, because that's 2 for 2 now that I've kind of suggested, and like you just like think it's a bag of
Yeah,
shit.
no, it's cool. Look, I'm sure I'm going to pick a few duds myself, man. But
But that's the nature of
it's
what we're doing, isn't it? So
yeah, it's a tough one. Westerns. I've only watched a few westerns, and there's probably and I think
I do
the
like my
ones
Western.
in recent times I've liked Free Turn to Yuma. I think that's really good. I also like Django. I like Hard Day's Fall, and I like that one True Grit, but the recent one with
Okay.
Jeff Bridges. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that one. Yeah, so
Yeah,
there's
so what
no
we're gonna obviously 80s and 90s actually westerns we're gonna watch at some point. We're gonna do Unforgiven. We're gonna do Pale Rider and Silverado. There's another couple as well.
I remember I'm forgiven. I
There's
remember I liked that. I remember I liked that
Quick and the
from back
Dead.
in the day. What's that one
You'll
with
like Quick and the
DiCaprio when he's a kid? When he's young.
Yeah, Quick and the Dead.
Yeah, Sharon Stone and all that.
Yeah,
I
you'll
thought
like
that
that
was
one.
quite good.
And
Yeah,
then there's
so
a
there's a
couple
couple
others.
Back to the
Yeah,
Future
so
3.
yeah, yeah, we'll
Joking. I know it's not Western. Yeah.
Well, no,
Give it a go.
technically it is though. It's still
Yeah,
an action western, so
they
we can
put some
watch that.
cliches in there, didn't they? Put some cliches in there,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember that. I remember
So
watching that. I
to
think I liked it. Yeah,
wrap this up, your
yeah.
final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Look, I mean,
Bag of shit.
I don't want to be mean or whatever, but yeah, it was shit.
And that's a good way to end it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. We'll watch something else next time.
Yeah, you could pick the next one.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, I'll try and pick something stinky.
Yeah. And then I could call it a bag of shit.